Hey everyone, this is Guy2489, and I am back with another tutorial video. And this time, I will be doing a video on reverse bottle adventure, also known as RBA. So, in RBA there's a lot of complicated things. I'm going to try and go over a lot of the basic stuff that you'll need in races. And so the first thing I'm going to do is collect some rubies, just like you normally would. But this time, the route I'm going to show doesn't need a shield, so we don't need quite as many. There's actually a slightly faster reverse bottle adventure route that can skip the sword as well, but for newer players, and even in a lot of things like bingo, you're not going to want to do that. This is still going to be decent, and even if the other way is the non-sword route is a little faster, but this isn't going to like kill you or anything to do this. One thing that I want to note right away is you don't want to hit C up at this time and talk to Navi. You need to keep her to be able to escape the forest. So I've got 19 rubies. I think you only need 17. So you could actually skip a couple more. And then you're going to be heading to the Lost Woods. And this is all basically going to be, the first few segments of this are going to be like reverse bottle adventure prepping before I actually show any of the actual reverse bottle adventure. Because you do need to do some things to prepare. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just heading over to this Lost Woods, Zora's River Warp. And you just want to roll up and grab it like that, the top here. And at this point, you're going to want to wait until Navi is yelling at you. See, alright, right there. She's yelling at us, so this is a pretty easy trick from here. All you gotta do is hit B to do a jump slash. I just mashed B a couple times, and then you're gonna want to mash C up to talk to Navi. And it's really that easy. And you just dive through the water. And you're just kind of stuck at the bottom, and then you can just get that text to go away and swim to the warp. So at this point, we've escaped the forest. You just need to come down Zora's River. And the first thing you're going to want to do is buy a bean. This doesn't have to be done like super quick or anything. I mean, obviously you want to go as fast as you can, but it's not like you're under time constraints. You actually have a little bit of extra time. Basically, at this point, you want to have 30 rubies. Grab the chicken. And I just toss him in the corner so he doesn't get, like, he doesn't run away from me. And buy a bean. And then you want to pick the chicken back up. And you're going to want to go to the top of the river with it. So this seems like a really random way probably to start the game, but it will make sense in later parts, I promise. So you're going to be skipping this waterfall because we need to get into Zora's domain. To do that with a chicken, it's really easy. All you got to do is come over here. You basically want to jump off and you want to hit the part that there's no water, and then you want to be like sliding along it to get behind it. So you just push forward till you're up against the wall, and then you kind of slide over. It's really easy once you do it. Once or twice, you'll figure it out. Okay, so once you're in Zora's domain, one thing I like to do, you don't have to do this, I like to grab a deku stick, and you don't have to do this right now either, but you break it. And you can do it with deku nuts as well, and just keep those for later, but basically that's going to make it, you're going to be doing so much stuff out of order that it's possible your inventory gets like really screwed up. And you can't like select certain items because of like blank spots. So these two like basically ensures that you're gonna be able to get to all the items you need to get to. So that's one thing just to note. And then you're gonna want to come up here and play the diving game for the silver scale. So there's not really any tricks to do this. Obviously, it's nice to get them in a few dives. Like, I might be able to get 3 right there. But I tried to get both of those in one, but it's not really a big deal if it takes a couple dives. Oops. You kind of don't want to be mashing A there, or you'll dive again. So now we can go get the silver scale. And we need that to be able to get to Lake Hylia. So the fastest way off the waterfall is actually to side hop off rather than dive, if you're not going to actually be playing the game. And then you want to warp and get the gerudo bottle, because in order to do bottle adventure you must have an empty bottle, and using this route, this is the best way to go. So all you need at this point in Lake Hylia is the bottle, and then you just go back. And you gotta show it to King Zora, because that's the only way to make it empty. So at this point you want to equip your bottle and you want to equip your bean. And this is when I would equip the deku stick and break it. You want to be sure to break your deku sticks too before you go adult. It's really important on N64. I will show a way you can like save yourself if you didn't, but it's a good habit to get into to remember to break them. This part's kinda dull. You just gotta watch him move over. So once you gain control, you want to head back to Lake Hylia. And at this point, you're going to plant your bean over by this lakeside laboratory. And that will allow you, as an adult, to get to the fishing pond over there, which will be important. And then the fastest way, you're basically done with the child segment already. I mean, if you were in bingo, you might have some other things to do, but that's all you have to do in order to set up RBA. So you just come over to this owl, wait till you hear it turn, morning, because you want it to be day, and then talk to him. And his text is long too, but still it's faster than going across Hyrule to get to the market. So as I said, that's pretty much the setup for RBA as a child. You don't really have to do anything else. At this point you just want to make sure you have broken your sticks, you planted that bean, and you have an empty bottle. I mean, you could have like bugs or something in it, but it can't be like Gerudo's letter. So yeah, if you were in bingo, do whatever other bingo things. If you're in, some other race, puzzle go or whatever. But then, at this point, you're just gonna go do the dwarf time skip and go adult. So then you've got the dwarf time skip. I actually have a tutorial on this trick if it's giving you trouble. Now one other thing I want to point out, in this little file I've created, I went and got some extra items, and I might even have more rubies now too, so if it doesn't line up, don't worry. If you're doing like any percent or you're doing pure adult RBA, you wouldn't have needed anything else that wasn't shown in the video. But in this case, I am splicing these together, so I do have empty chus and I have ice arrows. I'm going to be showing things with these later, so I need to get them. But they're not going to be things that you always need to get. So don't be concerned if things don't match up. So then you'd be ready, you'd just grab the Master Sword and watch the adult cutscene. So after the adult cutscene is over, it's pretty much known anytime you dot skip, the dwarf time is still there, so you just save warp out. Then, at this point, you'll also notice that the items you have on your C buttons are deku nuts, bomb. You can see the blank square there, but you can't get to it. And the other one would be ocarina if you had it, but we don't have it. I actually might pick that up later to do something. I might not need it. But anyway, the empty bomb is the most important one there because it actually allows you to get bombs. So you're just going to leave and head over to Kakariko. And you're still probably going to have an empty bottle. So this is a good spot to get bugs in this route, which you'll need to do a lot of reverse bottle adventure stuff. And then you want to talk to this Cucco lady to initiate the adult trade quests. A lot of the adult trade items are things that are useful in reverse photo adventures, so I'll be going over most of them first. And then, in any percent or in some other routes, you'll actually just head straight to the fishing pond from here. you'll just leave Kakariko and go to Lake Hylia. In this case, I'm going to actually get the Hookshot and get the Hylian shield over here first. In any percent, you can actually skip the Hookshot entirely. I'll kind of show ways of going about doing that, but in bingos and things, you probably won't be skipping the Hookshot too often, so now would probably be a good time to go get it. So I went and got the Hookshot. In some routes, you might be able to skip it. If you get the Hookshot, you probably want to save warp and then head out, but either way, now you're going to be heading to Lake Hylia. And there's not really too much you could do to speed this up. You just backwalk across Hyrule Field. And we'll be going to the fishing pond. All of this at this point is still pretty much prepping for reverse bottle adventure. So this is where the bean planting comes into play. We can just head over here. You'll also want to make sure you have 20 rubies at this point. So if you don't have 20 rubies, you know, you didn't route it well, you can get more rubies from the bushes here. But I have 20, so I'm just going to continue. You shake your bean, and you can ride it over to the fishing pond. I guess in some routes, like that have the ocarina, you could also learn Scarecrow Song, and then come over here, play Scarecrow Song, and then hookshot the guy. You'd have to have the hookshot in that case. But either way, once you get up here, you're going to go fishing. So once you're in the fishing pond, you're going to want to steal the rod. So after talking to him, I like to target the counter and then just pivot. And then I backwalk. And I don't pause this, but I just look basically when I see Link's neck about in the water, like that. And then after this, I just backflip here. What you want to do is, you don't want to continue to hold back in Z, because you'll just like stay in that spot. You don't want to let go of Z and keep holding down on the joystick, because you'll end up like, you know, way out here. What I do is I let go of Z and then I just like tap forward as I hit the water. And that usually puts you in pretty good position. Basically, the position you're looking for, you don't want to be out here where you dive and you're still in deep water, and you don't want to be so close that you dive. See, that was actually it. You want to make it so that you dive and you jump out of the water. Like that. If he's too close, let me see if I can get one. Like that. He didn't really jump out of the water, he just kind of half-ass popped out of the water. So then at that point, as long as you're, I wasn't even mashing B that hard, and I got it. And then after you get it, you want to hit Z twice so that your camera goes out and you have more room to see. You're going to make your way over to the door. But let me explain a little bit about that trick. As he's diving, popping out of the water, I'm mashing B, and I also mash Z and up to the right, like notch on my joystick, so that I cast over there. Because I don't like casting towards the door. Sometimes, like, you can pick up your bobber on the way. It's kind of weird. You need to be in this mode still. And then you would just exit. You know, it doesn't say open, but you can press A to open it. You also don't want to start, like, reeling. If you press A too much, you know, I'm rolling around, you're actually reeling in your bobber there. If you reel it in the entire way, then you can't leave. So now I'm going to show, there's actually a way you can pause buffer this. I wouldn't recommend it because you don't actually have to hold B that much, but basically on the first frame that he like splashes, that he jumps out of the water. This frame. If you push B on this frame, he'll also throw the rod. Hit C twice, and then you just make your way to the door. And now, you're outside. What you don't want to do is press start at this point, because you'll go back to Master Sword. That would be really bad. On N64, on 1.0, you could actually go into the water and save. On any other version, you're just going to want to head out of Lake Hylia. But the next step in RBA is basically to dim your B button. You want to dim it, and then make it, like, undimmed. Light again. Then you can pause. So, right here, see this ladder? Now my things are, like, dimmed. And now they're back. So I could pause right now, and I have the deku stick on B. Water will do the same thing. There's a couple other things that will do the same thing, but usually that ladder is used, and usually water is used. So there, it turned morning, my egg hatched. I'm going to just head over to Kakariko. You'd obviously be back walking. And then we're pretty much ready to start doing RBA. I'm going to put my items like this, I think. And then you'd go over to Kakariko, because that's where the next step is going to happen. So once you're in Kakariko Village, you'll actually be able to start doing the reverse bottle adventure. And one thing I wanted to mention that I had said before, on 1.0, with a bottle or stick on B, you can pause and save warp as many times as you want, and you'll always then end up with stick on B again. But in the other versions, you can do that one time. And after that, you'll get, if you save warp a second time, you'll get the Master Sword back on B. So that's why you'd want to go across Hyrule Field instead of save warping there. So in order to start the RBA, first you want to be a bit mindful of the item on your C right, because that's the item that points to the different spots. So, like a safe item is your bottle, for sure, to put on C right, or you could start with the item you already want to RBA with. But for now, I'm just going to do it with the bottle. So in order to start, you got to get a bottle on B first before you do anything. So to do that, first you got to drop your bugs, and it doesn't have to be bugs. You can do this with fish as well, or you can do it really with anything that you can RBA anything that you can actually swing and catch. But I'm just going to be showing bugs in this case every time, because that's by far the most common, and it gets you in most cases more of items that you want. So I did that so that the bottle is in my hand. And then when the bottle is in your hand, you want to backflip, and while you're in the air, you want to press the button that the bottle is on, so that's C right in this case. And then also in the air, you want to press the B button. Both of those have to be done before you hit the ground, but it's not really hard to do. So when you do that, you'll drop your bugs, but in this case, you'll drop them, and you'll have an empty bottle on B, and then you can swing and get your bugs on your B bottle. And you also want to be careful you don't lose your bugs too many times, because it can be hard to find bugs in different spots of the game. So now that we have a bottle on B, I'm going to go through all of the adult trade stuff pretty much. First, we're going to start with the Pocket Cucco. Pocket Cucco, there's not really any bites I could show you specifically that it points to, but I can show you that it's going to give you strength, and it's going to give you a bigger wallet. So you'll see when I drop these bugs, I'll already have a bigger wallet. It goes to 3 digits there. I have the adult's wallet. You can hold 200. And something else that's interesting, it might come up in some races. If you have 10 Gold Skulltulas, and then you do that, and then you go and get the first prize, it will actually be the Giant's wallet. So then you could hold 500 rubies. So that's really all you could say about drop. It also, you can see I now have a true golden scale, when before I really only had a silver scale. Most of the time that's going to be deleted though, because when you catch, now that's going to be all glitched up. And you can see I have black gauntlets as well. So let me explain that a little bit. See, this is glitched up. It says I have a silver scale, but I don't. My dive meter now goes back to 1. If that's a problem, you could always go get the gold scale again. Even if you delete the gold scale, you can get another one. Okay, so let me explain gauntlets a little bit with that catch. Black gauntlets, the color of the gauntlets is determined by what strength upgrade you had. I had no strength before, and so that makes them black. If I had had the Goron bracelet, that would mean they would be green. If I had the silver gauntlets, they would become blue. And if I had the gold gauntlets and then did this RBA, they would become bronze. All of them have the strength of golden gauntlets. So now I can pick up these bushes, and I could go move, silver block things, pick up silver rocks, and I could even move the huge stuff that gold gauntlets move. So that, and one other thing, by doing that RBA with the pocket chicken, it deletes the seed bags. You can't see that, but like when you get the slingshot, the things you shoot, the seeds, it deletes your seed upgrade. So if you have you're doing like bingo and you have like 50 bullet bag, you don't want to do this RBA because that deletes it. So that's pretty much everything with the pocket Cucco that's important. I guess just to recap it, you can get Adult's Wallet very easily. If you had 10 Skulltulas, you could go and then get the Giant's Wallet. You can get different colored gauntlets. I'm not going to repeat that step. You can just rewind it. And you can pick up, you have gold gauntlet strength. And in most cases, if you do that, then you're not going to have a scale. You're going to have a dive meter of 1. So in some routes, you may or may not even need to do Pocket Chicken RBA. But to continue the adult trade quest, you first have to come in here and wake this guy up. So then now the chicken's happy. And that doesn't change anything in the RBA. You could RBA after doing that. I don't actually know what that changes. It's probably some value somewhere, but then you come and you talk to her. You show her you're now happy Cucco, and you get Cojiro. Oh, and you want to be careful, because if you're like mashing here, and you mash B on the wrong frame, there's actually a frame right after I say yes, but before I get Cojiro, I could drop my bugs. And dropping bugs there would remove my black gauntlets again. So you want to be careful on text. Just take it slow and make sure you actually get the item. It's one frame, so as long as you're not mashing, you could always just get unlucky and hit the frame, but I never hit B when I'm going through that last text to get Cojiro. Alright, so Cojiro is a very key item in the Reverse Bottle Adventure, or Rare Bird Adventure, because Cojiro is a rare bird. Cojiro, basically what you need to know about him, like you can see I don't have anything in my bomb bag slot. I can't even move up to those hover boots. That's just like a placeholder because I didn't get the slingshot as a kid, and it thinks you must have gotten it. But you're going to see after I drop with Cojiro, Kojiro's going to basically point to the quivers and the bomb bags. So I dropped with Cojiro. And now you can see I have a 30 bomb bag, and I have a 20 bomb bag in the slot, but really that means I have a glitched quiver. And then you'll see when I catch it, it's going to go from a 30 bag to the best bag you can get, a 40 bag. So now I can actually hold 40 bombs, and then that other one moved to, that's a glitched quiver that can hold 20 arrows. So now I do have a quiver, and I do have a bomb bag. So this can create some weird situations where, like, you go and, you, like, win the quiver game, and then, like, you can pick up the guide. There's some definitely funky stuff you can do with this. I'm not going to go over everything in regards to that. But so now you'd be trying to go, in most cases, you'd be trying to get some bombs at this point. And you'll find that you can't yet get bombs. I could drop these grass like all day and I'd never get a bomb. Most people will go to the graveyard. There's one thing still I have to do that I'm going to show how to get bomb drops. First, if you haven't grabbed a shield yet, now would be the time to do it, because typically if you're getting bombs, you're going to be needing some shield tricks as well. So we can go and we get the shield. And then this is one of the few spots in the entire game in Dampé's grave that has an automatic bomb drop. It's always a bomb. But if you forgot to do this one step, you'll see that you don't actually... I should probably equip my shield. You won't actually get a bomb drop yet. So you're thinking, okay, I got the bomb bag, well, what the heck's going on? Well, there's still nothing in this bomb slot. And that's what actually allows for bomb drops. And arrow drops, I will show later with arrows as well. If you put a bottle in that slot, then the game like thinks you've got something there. It thinks you've got a bomb there, basically. You know, there's an item in that slot, so then it allows for bomb drops. So how do we make that happen? Well, in order to get a bomb in that slot, you need to have bombs on C right. But I can't actually go to bomb and put it on C right, so I have to swap it. So in this case, I can go to Cojiro and put him on C down. And that put bombs on C right. It's very, very important that you don't overwrite your bombs. Like, if I would come to Deku and put this on C right, I would pretty much be out of luck for bombs. You definitely don't want to do that. So just be mindful of where you're placing things on your C. So at this point, if I drop the bugs on my B, I will now have an empty bottle on my bomb area. And if I catch, like, you wouldn't have to recatch these bugs. I just like to have a full bug in my bottle on B. But you'll see this will also turn into a bug, because it's linking to that spot. Now it's a bug. And now we would be able to go and get bombs. So in most routes, you'll probably want to come in here and pick up a couple. I'm bad. And there's our bomb. So I'm not going to show this next part. I'll probably get like 20. But you just keep going in this grave to get more bombs. Okay, so I got my bombs. That should be enough for this demonstration anyway. And then you just basically want to get them off of C right. You want to put whatever item you're going to be RBA'ing more of back on C right. So I just put the bombs back on C down there. And I might as well equip the hookshot at this point too. You can try for more bombs in the grass if you want. You don't have a sword, so I use a bomb to blow up as many as I can here. And if you don't get any, then, you know, whatever. If you have the black gauntlets, you can try and pick up some other stuff too. So at this point, I'm just going to continue with the adult trade part of RBA and show some other things later. So basically, this is the any % route at this point. You have Cojiro, and you need to move on in the adult trade, so you gotta go to the Lost Woods. So the fastest way is to do something like that, mega flip into the water and do a hess out of the water. You don't have to do that, you can just backwalk. I mean, it's not going to kill you. But you're basically going to get over to the Lost Woods here. So, when you're in the Lost Woods, there's a neat little trick you can do here, called a pressure jump, where you put a bomb down, and you use this like pressure here to push yourself up just as the bomb explodes to damage yourself. I guess I'll try it a couple times. Yeah, it looks like that. And then you can just get to this guy a little quicker. It only saves like 7 seconds or something. If you would fail it or you're like low on bombs, you just go through the forest and then end up at the upper Lost Woods. But you can do that little trick. And then you talk to this guy to exchange for the mushroom. So, to kind of review Cojiro. Cojiro basically gets you bomb bag and quiver. It's a glitched quiver in this case. It's not always a glitched quiver, but with bugs it is. But it will still work, as you'll see later. And you also need, to actually get the bombs, you need to have a bottle in this slot. One thing I forgot. Technically, you could buy them as well if you beat the Dongo's Cavern. Then I believe you would be able to buy bombs from the shop instead of needing to do this move. But almost always, if you're going to be RBAing, you're going to want to have the bombs like right away. So it's easier just to do that. So then, that pretty much wraps up Cojiro. Oh! I gotta mention this too. If you had a strength upgrade, Cojiro will delete that. Like, kinda like the Pocket Cucco deleted the seed bag, well, Cojiro deletes your strength. Why is that important? Well, in this case it didn't matter because I had 0 strength to begin with, so I still have black gauntlets. But if I had the Goron bracelet, RBA'ed for the green gauntlets, and then RBA'ed Cojiro, it would delete my strength, so the green gauntlets would turn to black. That's true for blue or bronze gauntlets as well. So if one of your goals is like green gauntlets in a bingo or something, you don't want to RBA Cojiro. That's very important as well to keep in mind. So that wraps up Cojiro. And again, you don't want to be, mashing here B, because it's possible I drop before I drop bugs with Cojiro before I actually get the mushroom. Okay, so this is going to put a timer up, and basically I just need to get to Kakariko before the timer runs out, and you have plenty of time to do that. Odd mushroom is kind of useless. Basically, it points to spots on your heart. So you'll see when I drop, I have a quarter of a heart. When I catch, I still have a quarter of a heart. So it doesn't really do much. I guess in some heart goals, it would be useful if you're collecting heart pieces to like do that, get 3, do that again. But other than that, it's pretty much useless. So at this point, I'm just going to continue the adult trade quest. If you don't have the hookshot, you just go to the top. If you have the hookshot, you can hook to the top. So at this point, it's just overworld travel. One thing I guess to note here, if you had the rubies and you needed arrows, arrows aren't like the bombs. You don't have to like beat a dungeon to buy them. So I could just go in and buy arrows. But I'll also show later getting arrow drops as well. That's usually a good place to do it. Oh, and that's the little house jump. Instead of going through the house, this is a little bit faster. I'm notoriously bad at it. So now we're going to exchange for the odd potion. And there, I did that once because you can't just instantly enter a place and then give the item, because like there's a text that goes over it that says potion shot. So the first one makes that go away, and then the second one actually talks to her. So it's not like an error that I did that. Alright, so to review the odd mushroom, it's pretty basic. Pretty much no matter what you do with it, you're going to get a quarter of a heart. And then we'll move on to the potion. Okay, so moving on to the odd potion. The odd potion is the first one that really points to a lot of spaces on this square. Basically, it will point to Song of Storms, Song of Time, your 3 stones, that's 5, and then it points to Gerudo card, Stone of Agony, and it points to showing your skulltula count. Now, these 3, you can never get values this high, so no matter what you do with Reverse Bottle Adventure and Odd Potion, you're going to delete these things. So, like, if Gerudo card, I went and got it purposely in this case. If you think you're clever, I'm going to get Gerudo's card as a child and then do RBA, you know, whatever, later. You'll find out that that's a bad idea. Similarly, actually, if you are collecting songs or whatever, and you say, aha, I'm going to go and get the Song of Storms before I forget, or it's right here, I'm in Kakariko, you know, whatever. I actually have to play a bottle or a bomb in this case. If I could backflip. Yeah, it's a cool ocarina. Because I don't actually have my ocarina. So, you come here and you get the Song of Storms. See, and I'll try and explain this a little bit later when it's a little bit easier to understand, but basically, the item, Odd Potion, is just pointing to 8 parts of the inventory, you could say. And there's only certain, and you basically turn switches on and off to determine whether you have it or you don't. And it goes in, like, if you know anything about like binary, you don't really have to know a whole lot of the math involved, but just know that these values are really high, and then this one's high as well. But then this Song of Time and then these 3, you can reach those values. So it's basically switching them on and off. But all of the high ones, they're always going to get turned off. So if you thought you were smart, and I've done this in a race, I'm sure almost everyone has done this, where they got an item and then ended up deleting it accidentally. You will see, you know, I've got the Song of Storms, I've got the Gerudo card, but for whatever reason I need Song of Time. Okay, well, we're going to drop and watch what happens. I don't have Gerudo's card anymore. And the text was actually there, that's kind of funny. It said Gerudo's card, I went off and I went back, and now it's gone. So those are all gone. Oh no, my Song of Storms is gone, so if I was collecting songs, that would be bad. But now I have some stones. So I turned those, it's basically on and off switches. I turned those switches on. Everything else is off at this point. And bugs is a higher value than empty. You'll see more of that later as well. But now, this is pretty much the most stuff you can get. I shouldn't say that, but it's the most typical stuff that you get with Potion. So I have the Song of Time, and I've got my stones. So if, you need some stones, you could actually go back in time and now, like, watch the Zelda fleeing cutscene because you have these three. You can, play this just like a regular song, but it comes at a price. You don't want to be deleting things. So just remember, Odd Potion points to the stones, and if you catch with bugs, you'll always get all three. Song of Time, Song of Storms will always be deleted. Gerudo card will always be deleted. Stone of Agony will always be deleted. And if I had had a Skulltula here, a Skulltula count, it would now be hidden. I would still have the Skulltulas, but if you need to keep track of them, you definitely want to make a mental note of that before you do this type of RBA. So that sums up the potion. And at this point, we'll move on to the next trade. You got to go back to the Lost Woods. So I'm just going to head over that way. Okay, so this time I'm not going to pressure jump. I'm just going to show you what you would do otherwise. I'm going to equip the Hookshot. Again, you don't need the Hookshot. You just climb those vines instead. But if you have the Hookshot, you might as well get up here like that. And then you're over here. And now it's this little girl. And we're going to exchange the potion. For the saw. So, saw points to these 8 songs. Zelda's Lullaby, Epona's song, I guess that's Saria's song, Sun's song. I don't actually know which order goes in, but one's Sun's and one's Saria's. And then it points to the Serenade of Water, Requiem of Spirit, Nocturne of Shadow, and the Prelude of Light. So it's these 4 down here, last 4 on that row, first 4 on this row. Now, again, you're going to have songs like Sun's song, Saria's song, Epona's song, that are all too high in value. They're always going to be deleted. And Requiem is value 2. Value 2 is basically, you can't RBA value 2 unless you already have value 2. I'll explain a little bit of what that's about later, but it's going to be deleted in 99 cases out of 100 as well. So it's going to be deleted. But let's say I had some spirit stuff to do that needs Zelda's Lullaby. You don't want to drop and catch your bugs now to get your songs. You would want to play the Requiem first, end up in the desert, and then drop and catch the bugs. Then you could enter the Spirit Temple with Zelda's Lullaby, because once you delete Requiem, it's gone. And then you could put your sword back on or whatever, and you'd be done with RBA. So, that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. If you want to be out in the spirit, let's say you thought you were being clever and you went and got this as a kid, you gotta make sure to warp out there. I know I'm stressing this a lot about deleting stuff, but it happens to everybody. You overlook something, you just aren't thinking, or, it's a tight race and you're talking to someone on Skype, whatever, it's gonna happen to you. So, I'm trying to be, really hammer this point home. So, I'll go ahead and show what you actually get and what you don't get now. But if I needed to do something in spirit, I would warp there first and then drop and catch my bugs. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to drop the bugs, and you'll see what changes. With a drop, I have the lullaby already, and I have the nocturne. That's pretty cool. Notice none of this other stuff changes either, because now I'm pointing to a different byte, like a different region of things in the game. So, when we catch, if all you needed was lullaby, you wouldn't really have to recatch, but now we've got some other songs. Prelude and serenade, as well as the lullaby. So we can do some major warping here. But like I said, the Requiem is gone. Saria's and Suns and Epona's, if I had those, they would be gone as well. So that's pretty much it for the saw. If you're going to do any percent, or if for whatever reason you needed to like fire, you know, a magic arrow, like if you needed to beat the game, you would definitely need to fire arrows. So you would leave through the Goron City warp here, and go to the top for magic. I'm not actually going to show that. At this point, though, I'm going to pretend, like, okay, just pretend that's what I had done. But, I mean, it's pretty basic. You just scale the mountain and get the magic. So here is where I'm going to use my one save warp. I actually have an infinite amount of them, but this is typically where any version would use their save warp. And then I'll show the next part. So I just started up my file again, and you can see I have a deku stick on B, not a bottle anymore. That's not a problem. We can easily do the same step we did before to get it to be a bottle again. So at this point, the Poacher Sol is done. We're going to do one more adulterate. And this one points to the medallions. There are other adult trade RBA'es, but 99% of the things you would be interested in RBAing are covered in everything up until this next one. So, like, you don't have to super slide here. It's a pretty long area. I would recommend super sliding it, but if you're like tight on bombs or something, you could always just backwalk it. So at this point, we're heading to Gerudo Valley. Okay, so at this point, normally this bridge isn't fixed like this. I actually went, and if you remember, we got the Gerudo card, and then we deleted it, but that didn't re-break the bridge. So there are still some things that stay. But basically, this bridge will be broken. You'll have to get over to the sky. Now, there's a couple ways in which you can do that. If you have the hookshot, you can get right on this post and hook across to the other post. That's actually, there's a couple of really precise ways. That one's pretty precise. If you are on GameCube or Virtual Console, you could buy a deku stick and then get ISG and steal Epona and just ride Epona across. There's also a video that has a lot of setups made by Bloob that I will link in the description that involve coming over here and doing like all these crazy things to get into position over here to do a mega flip across. So I will link that to you so you can do it. But basically, no matter what method you choose, you're going to come over here. You'll end up over here. Alright, I guess you could go and get Gerudo's card as a kid as well. As I did. So, when you're over here, you're going to exchange the saw. Just to recap on the saw, it links to these 4 songs. First 4 on this row, last 4 on the last row. All the ones that are lit up in those spots are basically what you can get. Those lullaby and these 3 warp songs. these ones will always be deleted. Epona's, Saria's sons, and Requiem. So that's the saw. So then you exchange for the broken Goron Sword. And I actually don't mash here because you can freeze your game. It's weird. So we got the broken Goron Sword. But we also need a bottle on B again. So let's get that first. And again, you want to be mindful here of your bugs. You don't want to like lose them in the ground. So I'm just going to wait until these ones go away. Okay. So we got a bottle back on B. And again, you want to be mindful when you're doing stuff that's going to change the B value. What's on C right? I just had a bottle, so it's not a big deal. And now here we've got broken. Broken is going to point to all 6 medallions, and then these two, the remaining 2 warp songs, those 8 spots. These 2 will always be deleted. So if you need songs for your goal, or you need these specific songs, don't, have them already. And then light medallion will always be deleted. And then fire is kind of like the Requiem. It's value 2, and it's like you can't RBA value 2 unless you already have value 2. So 99 times out of 100, that's going to be deleted as well. So you'll be able to see here what happens. Again, I'm going to wait for these to go away. So we drop. And you can see I don't have the light anymore, but I have shadow and I have water. And then we catch. Now I've got forest, I've got water, I've got spirit, and I've got shadow. Now, for you to have the shadow and spirit medallions, the game assumes you have to have the other ones. Because the only way you could possibly get shadow is if you got forest, fire, and water, and then watched the nocturne cutscene. So the game only checks to start the light arrow cutscene these 2. So now that you have these 2, you can go and trigger the light arrow cutscene, which would basically be like the start of the final part of the any % run. You would do that, and then you would go and beat Ganondorf and beat Ganon. So that's really all there is for RBA with the broken, or with the adult trade items. I'm sorry. And again, the broken points to all of the medallions. It will always delete light. 99 times out of 100, fire will be gone as well, and these 2 songs will be gone. And with bugs, you can get the other 4. So at this point, I'm going to continue the RBA tutorial. I'm going to show you some other funky things you can do. But first, I'm going to watch the light arrow cutscene myself. I'm not going to show it, but just to get the actual light arrow. Okay, so I just finished the light arrow cutscene, and one thing I do want to mention here is that because I was doing the RBA route, you can see now I have deku nuts and I have bombs, and I have an empty C again. Basically, that's called an adult reset, because I had the bottle on B, and in the light arrow cutscene, I went child again, and then I went adult. I'm back as an adult. So it kind of like, it's like it thinks you're going an adult for the first time again, so it puts the same items back. So I guess in that case it would be okay to overwrite your bombs like right before you did that step, but still I don't think I would want to do that. So that's just one thing I wanted to mention real quick. And here I also want to note that it puts the Master Sword back on my B button. So even if I wanted to continue RBA'ing, because I save warped from the desert area there, Gerudo Valley, to the later cutscene, I have a Master Sword back as well. So if you needed to do more RBA, you would have to steal the rod again in this case. So now I'm just going to go and show some other... I'm going to just go ahead and steal the rod again, and then I will just kind of zip around and show some other things that are useful with Reverse Bottle Adventure. Depending on what you actually need Reverse Bottle Adventure for, there can be some uses to come to the fortress as a child. In this case, I have chus, and I was able to get the ice arrows early. I didn't actually show this, but there's plenty of videos of this. Obviously, you would have to Cucco jump to get over here and do that. But then there's another thing that can like jumpstart your Reverse Bottle Adventure with the adult trade quest if you navigate through the fortress. And in some cases it's faster because it skips the first few steps of the adult trade. So the first thing you have to do is get past these guards. They're pretty tricky because it's tight spaces. You're basically going to want to knock out that other one as you climb the stairs there. So a decent strategy is to like manipulate this one with crouch stabs, because she'll hear you. See, that stopped her. So you can manipulate this one. See, now they're kind of like in sync. So that's a decent strategy to get through that room. So once you get out here, if you had bombs, you could ground jump and grab that ledge, but in most cases you won't. So you have to do another little trick that involves this corner. What I usually do is just backwalk off. It doesn't really matter where exactly. I usually just do it somewhere on this brick. Like there's a black line there, there's a black line here. If you're somewhere in the middle, you're probably good. So backwalk off, and then I move. You want to be as close as you can to the edge. It doesn't really matter that I talk to Navi here. And then you just want to aim it a little bit to the right. And what you're going to do here is just roll forward, and then in mid-roll, you want to hold straight left. So that you kind of move back and catch that corner so you grab it. So that gets you up here. And then you want to walk over here. You can side hop across this gap, or you can jump it, I guess, if you feel scared with the side hop. But then you got to climb the vines. And you're going to make your way over here. And at this point, you must have an explosive. So you got to have at least a chew. You're going to be getting over to that chest. But this gap, it's not a huge gap, so I could even make a flip from here. But, you know, you don't have to be like right on the edge. Alright. So then once you're over here, normally as an adult, this is a heart piece, but if you're here as a child, and you open this, you actually get the odd mushroom, which doesn't really make any sense at all. But with this odd mushroom, you know, I can't equip it. I couldn't do like RBA with. There is actually a way you can equip it, but I'm not really going to go over that in this RBA video because it's not particularly useful for most bingos or anything like that. And then if you were to die or save warp, that will actually turn into Cojiro. But still, that saves several steps of the adult trade quest. So if you're already coming here for Ice Arrow or, you know, whatever, that's often a good move. And then if you get caught, like, now you're already in, like, Hylia, basically. As long as you don't have the hookshot in your inventory, you get thrown down here. And then you could plant your bean, talk to the owl, just like you normally would. But then you've already got a head start on your adult trade. So that's something you definitely want to keep in mind as you're planning a route. Alright, here's what happens if you try an RBA on Nintendo 64 and you forgot to break your deku sticks. You'll catch your bug, and then when you go to do this move where you backflip and then hit the button, boom. Completely frozen. Okay, so one thing I want to mention here, if you're on N64 and you forgot to break your deku sticks, your game's going to crash if you have a deku stick on B and you press B to use it. And also, this next move could be faster in some routes to get a bottle on B, but basically there's a way to go straight from the fishing rod to a bottle on B. So I guess I'm going to go over the steps first, and then I'll actually do it. What you want to do is you're going to want to have the C button. You're going to drop the item that you can recatch. So it's going to be bugs or fish, probably, out of the bottle. Then what you're going to do is press R and that empty bottle at the same time. You'll be in like a crouch stab position, but the bottle will be in your hand. Then, while you're in this position, you're going to want to press the button that you want to dupe over. In this case, it's B. So you'll press B. Next, you're going to add Z and the C button that the bottle was on. So you'll be holding all those, and you'll just be kind of like this. And then you're going to want to release R, and you'll swing. And that will put the bottle on B. I know it's kind of confusing, but you might want to go over the steps a couple times just to make sure you're doing all right. But here it goes. So I'm going to drop. And the bottle's going to go out of my hand. I need to get it back in my hand. Like that. Then I press B here. I went Z, R, and the C button, and then I swung. Or I released R to swing. And now I have a bottle on B. And you'll also notice now I have a third bottle because when you RBA empty bottle on C right, that affects your third bottle slot. So that's another little trick you can do to get an extra bottle, which is kind of nice. See, now it's an empty, and now it's a bug, because it just links to that third spot. So that's another very useful tip. If you need another real bottle, like, I know you can dupe other things, but it is kind of nice to have another real bottle you could put pose in or potions in. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you involves catching a Po and using it on C right. So first, we're going to kill this guy. And get his spirit. Alright, so with Po on C right, this part's really interesting because you can actually see the value, how the values change like instantly. So I don't know if I've actually mentioned it, but empty bottle on your B is that's a value of 20. Po on C right is going to point to your bomb chew count. How many? Just the amount of bomb chews that you have. Now, if I actually didn't have this little like empty with 0, I could get an amount but not be able to use it. You actually need to have like, I guess the best way to describe it is like having that amount, or like having that having at least one at some point to be able to like utilize this. So when I empty, I'm gonna get 20 chews like instantly. You'll see it. And then when I catch, I'm going to have 29. Because the value of bug is 29. And it's pretty much the highest valued thing you can get. Just like get out of the ground. Or out of like rocks, you know. But then I will show a way to actually get up to 31 chus. So, first we will drop. And you'll see the value just instantly goes to 20. I catch, and you can already see it. It's at 29. So then there's a couple other values that are interesting. Value 26 is full milk. Because I have 26 chus and Po is on C right, when I use the B, the game kind of thinks you have full milk and you're drinking it down to half milk. Now, I'm not actually going to drink the bug. I'm going to still drop the bug, but instead of dropping it and getting an empty bottle, I'm going to drop it and have half milk. And my chu count is then going to go from 26 to 31 because the value of half milk is 31. So you'll see that occur right here. Boom. Now, we've got half milk B and we've got 31 chus. That's a pretty easy way to get a lot of chus if you need to do like hovering or, you know, whatever you need a lot of chus for. And that's what Po does on C right. There's other ones as well. I think I'll mention some of them. Fish will do that with your deku nut amount. Fairy will do that with your deku stick amount. Milk will do that with your bomb amount, so you could do that with bombs too, but typically that's not done in races because it takes a while to get milk in your bottle, and you can just, you know, get bombs like anywhere really. And you can do it with your bean count too if you have the spooky mask on C right. Trying to think if I forgot any of the... Oh, arrows. You can do it with arrow mount too, as Rudo's letter. So if you got a different bottle as a kid, and you put Rudo's letter on C right. So those are some amounts you can manipulate to get, you know, a large number of chus. I'm actually gonna go ahead and finish the rest of this milk and catch these bugs again, because I don't need that many. I'll just go with 29. I'd rather have a bug there to show some future things. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to show how you would go about getting arrows if you didn't want to buy them. Again, I could go and buy them right now in the shop, but here's how you would go about getting arrow drops. First, you can go ahead and put either one of these, or the fire arrow. It needs to be like a magical arrow, because those are really the only ones you could get without actually getting the bow chest in the Forest Temple. And then what you need to do is do like the old school 1999 swing and then pause and then swap out catch to dupe a bottle. So I'm swinging, I'm going to catch, and I'm just going to dupe, you know, put this where the ice arrow was. Of course I would miss the bugs. And I missed again. Okay, hang on. We will get it. Okay. Now it should work. Alright, so I put a bug over my ice arrow, but that doesn't really put a bug over your ice arrow. It puts a bug on your bow slot. So now it's almost exactly how the bombs work. There's a bug, you know, there's a bottle on my bomb slot, so bomb drops can come out because I have a bomb bag. I also have a quiver, so I can now get arrow drops. And I will hopefully be able to get some from the grass. Of course. I just want to get one just to show that it worked. Try again. Yeah. So there's some arrows. And again, this is a glitched quiver, so I can only hold up to 20. And then I can just shoot these like, you know, normal arrows. And if you had magic, even, you could shoot them as light arrows or ice arrows. Just, you know, and that's how you would go about beating the game. So that's how you can get arrow drops. Okay, so the next interesting thing you can achieve with Photo Adventure, or Reverse Photo Adventure, with the RBA Cojiro having a bomb bag already, if you already have a bomb bag, and then you come and you get the real bomb bag in Dodongo's Cavern, you'll kick open the chest, and it'll say you have 20 bombs, but you actually only gain 1. I went from 36 to 37. And then the interesting thing about this is it actually puts it in your inventory over your chus slot. So if you need chus, you don't want to do this until after you're done using your chus. Because you can't get them back, I don't think. And you can see there's also a really weird line there. That happens if your inventory is overly glitched up. I'm not sure exactly what causes that. It's not that this bomb bag will cause that in every case. That's not the case. So when you try and use this item on your C button, you actually pull it out as eyedrops, which is the last item in the adult trade. And interestingly enough, you can take advantage of that and skip a few items in the adult trade. So I'm going to show that part right now. There is another implication of having the bomb bag 20 on a C button, which I will show next. But for this step, and this is basically how you would go about getting magic as well. I'm kind of low on health here, so I'm not going to get hurt. The first thing, I mean, this would get you the big Goron Sword or the claim check early, but if it's in your goal as like a bingo or whatever to get the claim check, typically I wouldn't think about doing this unless you were already going to have a lot of the adult trade, you know, done, because you have to trade. You might think, oh well, I'll just get that eye drops and go straight up here and be done. You actually have to trade for the prescription first. Because before you, I'm sorry, yeah, you have to trade for the prescription first. His eyes aren't even itchy until you get the broken. So then, like, alright. If we try and show him the eye drops, he won't take them yet. It won't work. So what you have to do is, you have to already have the broken Goron Sword here, and exchange it. And he'll give you the prescription, and act like you have to go through this stuff. You still, at this point, can't give him the eye drops. You have to, like, whoops, you have to reload the area. So I'm just going to go in here. Watch this little cutscene. I guess the fairy fountain with magic would have been faster, but... And then you come out. And now you can show him the eye drops, and he'll take them. So that's a little shortcut to getting the claim check, and if you had Sun Song, you could get the big Goron Sword really quickly. So that's the claim check. Okay. So, interestingly, the bomb bag 20 on a C button points to water temple keys. Now, you don't have to be in the water temple to do this, but I came here because it will show you how it's working. This is going to be basically like the chew amount, or any of the other amounts that you'll see. It gives you an amount based on the item in the feed bottle. So first I'll drop, and I'll have 20 keys, and then I'll catch, and I'll have 29. And you'll see it change instantly. There, I have the 20 keys out of nowhere, and there's 29. So this one's useful if, like, you have to defeat Dark Link, or you have to go, deep into the water temple, and you don't have, like, Lullaby or Iron Boots or anything like that to get keys, and you're already doing RBA, this is a good option. And then you never have to worry about, gathering keys here. The other thing I want to point out is, that's really annoying, the magical arrows, as well as, I guess, the claim check. It's kind of all in a line. If you put these on C right, they point to map, compass, and boss key of specific temples. So it's really easy to remember. Fire arrow points to the fire temple. Ice arrow points to the water temple, and light arrow points to the spirit temple. And I believe the claim check points to the forest temple. And there's other adult trade, I think, like the eyeball frog or prescription point to like deku tree, and there's other ones that point to the different temples. But these are pretty much the main ones you'd ever see. Even fire's not that often used. But ice arrow is used a lot. Ice arrow points to water. And compass is value 2, so you're not going to get the compass, but you can get the map and the boss key. The boss key is the one that's particularly useful. So when I drop this, you'll see I instantly will get the map. I don't have the boss key yet, but now you can see map is here. And then when I catch, we now have the boss key. So that can be used for map and compass in X temple, usually, water or one of these other ones. Same with the boss key. I could, if I had a method of getting over there, I don't even know if I can anymore. So the boss door, I'd just be able to go right through and open it. And again, you don't have to actually be in the temple. Like me doing this here, is going to mean I now have the map in the fire temple, and now I have the map and boss key in the fire temple. I just came to the water temple because it was easy to demonstrate, and it shows the keys. So that's another thing you can do with Bottle Adventure. And that is going to sum up my Reverse Bottle Adventure tutorial. I hope you guys learned something. That's pretty much most situations. I would say in bingos or like any percent, that's going to be, or even most like other races, that's going to cover like 95% of the RBA you'd ever have to do. There's also things like Bottle Adventure, which usually don't come into play unless it's a puzzle goal, so I'm not going to go over that in this case. So thank you everyone for watching. I know this is a lot of information to take at once, but just do it step by step. Make sure you're always conscious of what you're putting on C-Right, and be careful of what ends up deleted. Things like this or this. Everyone makes mistakes with Reverse Bottle Adventure, so it just takes experience. I would say racing is the best way you can learn what things you need, what things you're okay with, being deleted. And yeah, hope to see you in future races, and good luck with Reverse Bottle Adventure.